Hey everybody! Alright, so tonight is taco night, but if you're watching this on the replay, I want to let you know a couple things. First off, I do these live cook with me videos on the first Thursday of every month at 5 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to be here when they happen, that's when they happen, aside from the rare occurrence where the scheduling gets changed. But also, if you want to make sure that you're here, click that little bell next to the subscribe button. That will turn on post notifications for you, and so that way you will get notified when I'm going live. And so then you can be here right when it happens if you want to be here to chat with everyone and discuss and ask questions and do all of that. Notifications is the best way to do that. So if you're watching on the replay, feel free to skip ahead, but I'm just be waiting for people to get in here and start saying hi to everyone, and then we're gonna get started making some tacos. So I think we already have a few people. Natalie says hello. Hi Natalie. Jenna99 says hi. Hi. How are you guys doing? And as more people come in, say hello. Maybe let me know how your day is or where you're watching from or anything like that, because I would love to hear from you and chat with you. And also, just so you know, oh, Christy Lewis says hello. Hi. So I do have my tablet here at the side so I can look at comments when I move the camera down later as we are cooking. Oh, we have a lot of people. Oh, Natalie says, I'm doing chicken fajitas tonight. Very nice. We're kind of on the same page. Cool. And I love that too. I know a lot of you cook with me while, you know, this whole live stream is going on, because you're in a similar time zone to me, and so then we get to cook together, which is really fun. Cook With Me TV says hi. Hello. Nita says hi. Hi, Nita. It's so good to see all of you guys. I hope you are doing well. I know it's a busy time of year for everyone, especially in the US, because we just had Thanksgiving and now we're into the whole Christmas season and there's so much going on. We do have our Christmas tree up. You can't see it really, but it's right there. But we haven't put lights on it yet, so I don't have a pretty bright glowing tree. Maybe for next month's, because we are so late getting the tree down, that for January's live stream, I bet it'll be up. But we're making tacos tonight, so I am gonna start getting started with things. As more people come in, say hi. And if you guys have questions, food and nutrition questions, cooking questions, other things you just want to chat about, you know, just feel free to put them in the comments. And I think I do a pretty good job of getting to the comments. I might not get to every single one, but I try to, you know, keep track of what's going on there. Nita says tacos rock. Yes, they do. This is one of my favorite dinners. Also, I've got my water here. As I always ask you guys, please remind me if you notice that I'm not drinking water very frequently, because sometimes I'm just talking and talking, and I forget to take a drink, and then my voice gets weird and my throat gets like raspy. I'm gonna try to remember though. Okay, so taco night. I've got a few things pre-prepped. I try to get everything out as much as possible so these can be as smooth as possible as it can be when I'm cooking live. But the first thing we have here are some black beans. So we're doing black bean tacos tonight. So these have been soaking for several hours. I've got them in the pot, and now we're just gonna add in all of our spices. So I thought I would show you all of the things that I am adding in. So first thing, salt. So, and I just kind of eyeball this. I don't have, you know, specific measurements for you guys, but you know, I just kind of do it by eye, and it's depending on how much you're making too. So we're just gonna throw some salt in there. Let's see, of course, garlic powder. I put garlic powder in a lot of my food, which you know if you've watched a few of these, because garlic makes everything taste better, pretty much. Okay, so then I also have some smoked paprika here. You could use regular paprika as well, but the smoked is nice. Oh, and this hasn't even been opened. The smoked paprika is nice because it adds some smokiness, which I think, you know, maybe not right for every recipe, but I think it's really good for tacos. Now I gotta try to open up this seal. There we go. And with these spices too, I mean, this is the combo of spices I like as well. So in addition to amounts, also what spices you use, you could switch up. So we've got smoked paprika. Let's sprinkle some of that in. Like I said, just kind of eyeball. I guess that's fine, because this isn't going to be the only flavoring in our tacos. We're also going to have, you know, the toppings and stuff. We've got some ground coriander here, so we will sprinkle that in. Fun fact, because I know we have some people watching from the US, some people from not in the US. So in the US, we call the leafy part cilantro, which I know a lot of people call coriander in other parts of the world. But the ground seeds, we do call that coriander. So for us, it's the seed versus the leafy part has a different name, where I guess for other people this is all coriander, which I think is kind of interesting. Cumin, that also adds kind of a smokiness, which is nice. I feel like cumin is one of those smells that really, it kind of like, that smell is like the taco smell to a lot of people because that's what's in taco seasoning. And a little bit of cayenne. I'm just going to add a touch. I'm not going to add a ton because I do add, you know, hot peppers and other things that are going to go on the tacos. And then also we're going to have hot sauce. Okay, so now that I've got all of my spices, you can kind of see all in there. I'm just going to pour in the water. And then we're going to get these first thing cooking away so they can be cooking the whole time in the background while we're making everything else. And I see that you guys are being quite chatty. So once I get these going, I will take a look at your comments and we can talk. Okay, I'll pop this over on the burner. One of the tasks for this live stream is to see if we can do this thing without the beans boiling over and it being a big mess. Don't think it's gonna happen because I always seem to boil them over, but we're gonna try. So I'm just gonna set this on the back burner and let it get going up to a boil and try to keep an eye on it while we do other things. Okay, so let me see. And I apologize, the tablet here, the battery is low. I have it plugged in, but it doesn't seem to be charging as fast as it's using battery. Hopefully it lasts for the live stream, but I don't know, we'll see. Oh, Cook With Me TV says, fellow RD here, love your live cooking shows. Awesome, that's great. I love to hear from fellow RDs, and there are also some dietetic students that watch, which I always love to hear from you guys. So fun. Jenny99 says, since I'm a flower delivery guy, December is one of my busiest months. I bet so. Lots of flowers around this time of year. And then Nita says, oh, I've been experiencing some stomach issues. Most things I eat give me upset stomach, diarrhea. What do you think could be causing this? I don't have a lactose or gluten issue, but could I be developing one? Okay, interesting question. So first off, as with all of these, you know I have to give the disclaimer. All the stuff we talk about on the live streams and also in my regular videos, it's just general advice. So it's not meant to diagnose, treat, or cure any condition. It's not a replacement for talking to a health professional like your doctor or dietitian or anyone else. It's just for general information purposes. But if you have been experiencing a sudden change in any sort of the way your body's feeling, any sort of health thing, it's, you know, a good idea to go get a checkup and just see what's going on. It could also be not related to your digestive system. It could be something like stress or anxiety related. Sometimes stress or anxiety or things like that can affect our digestion. A real acute example of that is like someone who feels nauseous or throws up before a big speech or a performance, or a professional athlete that throws up before the game because they're like, their adrenaline's running or they've got nerves or whatever. So that's like an example I think most of us have experienced. But, you know, it can happen in a different way if we have like chronic stress or anxiety or things going on. That could also affect our digestion. It could also be maybe if you've had a change in your diet or something else has gone on that maybe has affected your digestive system. That's a couple things that could be happening. With lactose, that isn't really like a lactose intolerance. That really isn't something you would develop typically later in life. If it's an issue for you, it's going to be something that you're kind of going to know from an early age because your body just stops producing the enzymes to break down that lactose once you're through the age of being done with breastfeeding and moving on to solid foods. So that's not usually something that would change later in life as an adult. Same thing with gluten. If you have celiac disease or an issue with gluten, then that's usually not something that's going to develop later on. But those are a couple things to think about watching the beans over there. Oh, Cook With Me TV says, I love cumin, it's so warming. Yeah, you're right, it's like a warming spice. That's a good way to describe it. Jenna99 says, you might need a new charger. Yeah, this one has like electrical tape. It's old. It's not great. I've been noticing more issues with it here recently, but right now the percentage is holding steady, so we'll see. I mean, I can always see the comments here, but I just prefer this because, one, when I touch the screen, I know it shakes the camera, but two, when I'm moving the screen up and down, if it's facing the cutting board, then I can't see what you guys are saying. See, like right now, it's doing that little shaky thing. Nita says, cool, thanks for the info. Absolutely. Okay, so we've got the beans going. I'm going to get, I've got a couple cast iron skillets over here. I'm going to get those heating on medium heat. over here on my stove, and we're gonna make our tortillas. So, as far as making the tortillas, I have done a little prep ahead of time just to help us be a little more efficient today. So I make my tortillas with this corn flour. The recipe for how to do it is on the back of the bag, and I followed this. I did 3 cups worth to make 30 tortillas, and you know, it's just this stuff and water, and you just mix it together. So I measured that out, mixed it together, and then I rolled it out and cut it into 30 little pieces, and then I rolled those into these little balls. So now these are ready to be made into tortillas. So it was really simple. You just mix it all together. I roll it out, and then I use like a little thing. You could use a knife. I use this little kind of like pastry tool to just cut it into about even pieces and roll them into these little gems right here. And of course, for tacos, you don't have to make your own tortillas. You do whatever you want. But I think making the tortillas is kind of fun. It's something I've gotten used to doing, and I really like the flavor of them much more than other tortillas that you can buy in the store. I feel like when I buy tortillas in the store, I'm usually disappointed. Also, I find, at least where I am, it's hard to find corn tortillas. A lot of times all you can find is flour tortillas. So I like doing this. You use whatever kind of tortillas you want when you make tacos. And then to make our tortillas, make the process easier, I'm using a tortilla press. So this is an item that's actually linked in my Amazon store. So there's a link for that below the video if you want to find a tortilla press. That'll take you right there, and it has that in there. And there's other tools I use, the knives I use, the pans I use, all kinds of different things. So if you ever see like a tool, a specific thing, there's also a lot of books over there that I like. So that's a good way to find a lot of my favorite things, especially if you see something in the live stream and you're interested in it, want to know more about it. And also, going over there is a great way to support the channel. So when you shop through my Amazon link, then whatever you buy over there, I get a percentage of the sale. So you pay the exact same price to Amazon, but Amazon gives me a little bit of it for referring you. So if you enjoy the content here and you find value in all the videos that I put out, and you enjoy it and all that kind of stuff, then a way to support the channel and to keep the videos coming is to just go over there and shop through that link, and then a little bit of it comes to me, which I think is pretty cool. Okay, so pressing the tortillas. I'm gonna move all the spices out of the way. So just to review those that are in the beans, we've got smoked paprika, garlic, cumin, and cayenne. I'm gonna put these back in the cabinet, just get them out of my way. Try to keep my space as clear as possible. And that's a good tip. I mean, it helps me with the live stream, but for anyone who is cooking, clean as you go makes such a big difference. Just keeping your space tidy as you're moving through things, so that when it, you don't have this big explosion at the end. And let's see, so the way the tortilla press works, I'll show you guys. First off, normally I put parchment paper on here, but I used the last of my parchment when I was making pies at Thanksgiving, and I forgot to get a new one, so we're using plastic wrap. I don't know how this is gonna work, but we're working with what we have, and hopefully it's not a disaster. So the way the tortilla press works, I'll just kind of hold it up, because even from above, you can't really see what's happening, because it's just things like folding over each other. So the way it works, we take the little tortilla thing. Normally this would be sitting on the table, but I'm just holding it up like this. We put it in there, then we flip this side over, and then it has this nice little handle here, and you just bring it across and go like this. So it gives you a nice even press. Now let's see with the plastic wrap if it separates. That's gonna be the question. How is it gonna do? Is it gonna break on me? Oh, it worked pretty well. Okay, and then we'll just peel that off and put it in the cast iron skillet. So you don't have to have a tortilla press to make tortillas, but I find this is a lot easier than trying to use different kitchen things to smash it or whatever. You get a nice even press, it's easy, it's thin, and when you're making a lot like this, it just makes the process a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable. Okay, let's see how our pans are doing. They're starting to get warm. So while we're waiting for those, I will go ahead and look at some more comments from you guys. Yeah, Jenny99 talking about my charger, about the wire falling apart. Yeah, it's, oh, it went up a percentage. Okay, that's good. But yeah, I mean, it's in a sad state. I probably need to get a new one. Christy Lewis says, what's the nutritional difference between homemade and store-bought? There isn't going to be a huge difference. The main thing that I find, though, is a lot of store-bought tortillas will have some sort of hydrogenated oil in them. And I don't love that because we know that hydrogenated oils and the trans fats that come from them have a very small amount can have really tremendous negative impact on our cardiovascular health. And it's just not necessary because you could use another fat in there, or like these are just water and the corn. There's no sort of fat in the actual tortilla itself. And that's one thing whenever I look for tortillas in the store, especially the flour ones, a lot of times there's some sort of like partially hydrogenated oil in there, and I don't love that. Because it's not necessary and it really can have a negative impact. So that's why I tend to not go for them, and I also just don't like them very much. So that's a big nutritional difference. But if you can find one that doesn't have hydrogenated oils, then it's basically going to be about the same. The other thing to note, though, is that we're supposed to be having this ban on trans fats where they're supposed to be phasing them out. So I'm hoping that we'll see that change. And it's happened in most areas of the grocery store where people aren't using hydrogenated oils anymore because they know that they need to phase it out and that people don't want it. But that is the one category where it seems like they still stick around. Found another spice over here. Put that back in the cabinet. Yeah, okay, so let's see. Okay, this pan is hot, so I'm gonna start peeling off tortillas, and I'm just gonna start cranking these things out and putting them in the pan. And then we'll be on our way. And so once I get some of these in the pan, I'll show you the setup. But I do a couple pans at a time. Oh, that one broke. Okay, this one broke. So that's the thing to know. If it breaks, you can just reform it and put it back in there. So I'm just kind of doing this to get it pretty even. But I'll show you guys kind of the setup. I like doing 2 pans at once because they cook a lot faster the more pans I have going, which means we get to have dinner sooner. All right, put the second one in there, and a third one. Ooh, come on. Okay, so far I'm not minding the plastic wrap actually, compared to the parchment. It's a little bit different using it as far as how I peel it off and how it comes off, but it works great. So that's good to know in the future, that it is a viable option. The other nice thing about the tortilla press is that it's a relatively inexpensive kitchen tool. And if you do like making your own tortillas, it makes such a big difference. It's a really good value as far as the impact it has when you're cooking and the price. And there's different kinds too. This is a metal one, but they're like, if you want a really nice pretty one, they make wood ones. There's like cast iron ones. But I like this metal one because it's really lightweight. It fits in my drawer. You know, I don't like to keep a lot of specialty tools around because I find they just take up space. So if I can, not have a specialty tool, then I'd rather that. But this doesn't take up much space, and like I said, it makes such a big difference that it's one of the few specialty tools that I really recommend because it's just so good, and it's not some big clunky thing that's going to take up a whole cabinet. You just pull it out when you need it. Oh, the beans are boiling. All right, tip, I'm going to put this spoon over the top. That helps break the surface tension. We'll see if that works, and then we're going to boil these for 5 minutes. And I know there's a lot happening over here that you guys aren't seeing right now. I apologize, but once I get this first batch of tortillas cranked out and things are going, I'm going to turn the camera over so you can get a better view of what is actually happening. Okay, so we're going to do that right now. Let me turn this down a little bit, maybe like that. Okay, so this is the situation. We got the beans back here, and like I said, I put this wooden spoon across the top. That's supposed to help with boiling over. I think it does help. I have a big problem with boiling things over. I do it a lot. So we have that going. The beans are going to boil for about 5 minutes, and then we'll let them simmer for about 30 minutes. I have my 2 cast iron skillets here, so I have 3 tortillas in this pan and 4 in this pan. I can usually fit about 4 to 5 in this larger one, depending on how big I make them, because, they're not all exactly the same size, because I just hand-rolled them. But usually I can get 3 and then 4 to 5. And let me get a plate so I can put them on there as they come out. So we'll bring this over here. And let me get some tongs as well. The other thing I find is that the tortillas, because this little pan, in addition to being smaller, it's also just thinner all around. They cook a lot faster in this one because this one heats up faster and it gets hotter than this big one, which is fine. You know, I just kind of keep them both going at the same time. So this first one, you can kind of see it started to get cooked and a little brown. You can see little brown spots a little bit right there. So now I'm just going to flip it. We'll keep the other ones going because they need to cook a little bit longer. And this is a good time for me to look at your comments. All right. Oh, no comments. You guys aren't very chatty today. Please talk to me. Tell me what's going on. I don't know if I have any major updates. One thing, I don't know if you guys have seen, but we hit 10,000 subscribers on the channel. It's really exciting. Get excited. I can't believe it. It happened a few days ago. And it kind of is, I mean, obviously it's been a gradual process and I've been seeing it coming, but to see that number flip and it be 10,000, I don't know. It's really exciting. It's really cool. And I'm so excited to have so many of you here. So we're going to do some kind of celebration. I haven't made an official announcement or anything, but I'm thinking we'll do some sort of live stream or something dedicated so we can really celebrate it. But I did want to mention that for those of you who are here because it's really exciting. And if you're here, then you're probably a subscriber. And most of you, I would venture to guess, are some of my more active subscribers. A lot of you are here for every live stream. I see you all the time in the comments, and you're really the core part of the community we have here on the channel. So I especially want to thank you and celebrate with you because you're a big part of what's going on here and everything that we're doing. And I really appreciate it because I love our little community that we have. Natalie Smith says, cooking and watching at the same time, hard to type. I feel you. Congrats on 10,000. You deserve so much more. Oh, you're so sweet, Natalie. Yes, I know some of you are cooking, so it's hard to type. But I always appreciate hearing from you. Okay, so let's see. These can flip. So right now, there isn't a ton happening because we're just cooking tortillas. And so that's one thing about making the tortillas is once you kind of get your system going, you're just kind of constantly turning them in, turning them out, taking ones out of the pan, putting new ones in the pan. This is also a great task for children if you have children. One thing they can do on taco night if you want to make your own tortillas is they can help roll the dough into the little discs. They can help with the pressing. It might take them a few times to get exactly what they want, but it's important for them to learn that skill just like everything else they have to learn. You know, it's going to take a few mistakes until they get the technique down, but it's something that they can do. It's something that's really fun, and yeah, it's a great way to get them involved in the cooking process for this type of meal. Okay, so Jenna99 says, did you talk to Jason about my idea to get the cat's teeth looked at? Yes, I mentioned it to him right after that live stream when we talked about it. I did. Natalie says, what kind of tacos are you making? So, great question. So we've got corn tortillas as our base, which I'll leave these a little bit longer. We've got the corn tortillas. We've got black beans going right here. And then what else? We're making some guacamole. We're going to have some cabbage on there, some hot sauce. So that's kind of what we're working with tonight. I had actually initially planned to do a pulled pork taco because I was going to make pulled pork in the slow cooker earlier this week. And then when I do that, I usually save the leftover pulled pork and use that in tacos for another night in the week. But I ended up not doing the pulled pork because plans changed, schedule changed, whatever. So since that didn't happen, I was like, well, you know what? I can always do black bean tacos because I always have black beans. Oh, timer's going off. Okay, so now the beans have been boiling for 5 minutes. Now we are going to turn the heat down to a simmer, and then we will just leave those simmering partially covered, which I'm going to let them actually settle down a little bit before we put that on there because then they are going to boil over. Okay, so let me crank out a few more tortillas to put in this pan now that we've got our first little batch done. But yeah, going back to having things on hand, that's why it's so important to have those staple items that you just always keep around, because then when you have a change of plans, you can make it work. And I do have a series of videos where I talk about healthy foods I always have on hand. I did one here recently. If you missed that one, definitely go check it out. But in one of those videos, I think it might have been, I don't know, maybe the second one, I mentioned black beans as one of my staples that I always have, just dry black beans. So they are always there in my pantry, just in a big giant mason jar. Okay, those are in there. let's go ahead and flip, or no, these are done. So you see this kind of works pretty well as far as the process. As soon as one's done, usually then the other ones aren't quite done, and then you can roll out some more, and then now these are done, and we'll crank out the next group to go in here. Natalie says, I always have black beans and salsa on hand, always can whip up something with those things. Right, and if you have some rice and a little hot sauce, or, you know, and oftentimes we have like random vegetables left over in the fridge that you can work with. You have some onions around. If you just have those staple items, it might not be exactly what you want in that moment necessarily, but you can make something that tastes good and that will work and that will be satisfying and have a good variety just by having some staples around. Okay. So yeah, with this, we might be able to fit 5 in this big pan this time. Another thing to remember is if you do decide to make your own tortillas and you get the tortilla press and all of that, is that there is going to be a little bit of a learning curve, as with anything that you've never done before, as far as figuring out how you like your setup to be and the process of, you know, depending on what kind of pans you have and how many pans you have and how you want to do it. Can I make this fit? Maybe not. All right, this is not going to fit. This one's going to have to wait. But, so it might, you know, the first time or two you do it, it might take a little bit longer just because you're figuring it out, figuring out how to use the tortilla press and all that. But once you get, just like anything with cooking, once you do it a couple times and you kind of get your system in place and your skills get a little bit better, it's kind of quick. Obviously not as quick as opening a package of tortillas, but if you enjoy cooking or you want a fun food project or you got some time, I think it's fun and they taste really good. And you can also make them the size you want. So you can see these are small little tortillas. I really like these. I think they're really nice, as opposed to some like big gloppy thing and things are everywhere. Jason would prefer them a little larger. He's always like, can we just make them a little bit bigger? But I like them this size. But I suppose I could. Maybe instead of like getting 30 out of a batch, I could try for 25 and then see what the size is like that. But I also know that they fit in my pans this way too, which is something I like. If I change the size, then I definitely wouldn't be able to get 3 in this little pan. But I would also be cooking fewer tacos because we'd have less total. So maybe it would take about the same amount of time. Chrissy Lewis says, do they keep well? They'll keep for a few days in the fridge. You could also freeze them. So like if you wanted to make a big bulk batch and then freeze them in freezer bags, then you could do that. I haven't tried that personally, but I'm sure it would work fine. But ours never hang around. They always get eaten up. So I try to make a good amount for us for what we're going to eat. But if you want to make them a few days ahead of time, you could. And like I said, if you want to make a bulk batch and then put them in your freezer and thaw them, I think that would work. If you do try it, report back and let us know how it works out. Okay. Leave these on a little bit longer. I thought there was something I wanted to ask you guys that I was thinking about earlier, but I can't think of what it is right now. I don't know. I can't recall. One thing I was thinking about today, though, when I was, you know, making the thumbnail and scheduling the live stream and everything, is that this is the last Cook With Me for the year. Just kind of hit me like, this is December. This is the last one. And then, you know, next time we do one of these, it's going to be 2019, which is kind of wild because I've been doing these for, I think, 1.5 years now, doing them each month. And also every month, it's always like, oh wow, it's time to do that again because the month just kind of goes by, but it's hard for me to believe this is our last 2018 Cook With Me. But I really like this series. Like, this is something that I'm glad I started on my channel. It was something I just kind of did on a one-time thing, and then it became a series. But I really like it because it definitely has a different energy than other things that we do here on the channel. And it's so nice to be able to talk to you guys in real life and just cook food and share, like, really what I'm eating and give you tips along the way. It's also a really natural way for us to talk about food and cooking because as I'm doing things, like, I come up with things just as we're talking that, like, oh, this is a good thing to know how to do. And then also you guys have questions that maybe you wouldn't have just watching a video, but as you're watching me cook something, you know, I can clarify things for you, or you might be wondering about a cooking technique, and we can just do it here in real time. Oh, there's another comment. I just remembered. Oh, Jen99 says it's really fun to watch these streams and talk to you. Good, I'm glad you think so. I really, really enjoy it. So I'm glad we're on the same page with that. And then I saw there was something from Natalie as well. Oh, any tips on fading out a fast food habit? I go to Dunkin' Donuts about 5 days a week for breakfast, having a hard time getting out of the habit. Okay, that's a good question. Well, the first thing I think is that you never want to make it an elimination thing. So whenever we say, oh, I'm like, if you said, I'm never going to have Dunkin' Donuts ever again, that is a way to set yourself up for a failure, because one, that's just not realistic that you're never going to have Dunkin' Donuts or never going to eat a donut again. It's not necessary for good health, and then all that happens is once you do end up having one, because you're going to eventually, then it kind of creates this downward spiral, and you're like, oh, I'm a failure, da, da, da. And then it can actually cause you to rebound and kind of go from one extreme to the other, of like this pendulum swing of never having it and then always having it, never having it, always having it. But with that said, a lot of things as far as habits go, it's not even that it's easier, it's just kind of almost, I kind of think of it almost like a groove. And so habits can be helpful or they can get in the way of things, just depending on what they are. But so habits aren't necessarily bad. Sometimes they can be good. The real reason that habits are nice is because they're kind of like shortcuts in life. You don't have to think about every single thing all the time, because you kind of just get in your routines and you do it. But that also means that it can be difficult to change a habit. So one way you can go about it is trying to find a replacement habit. So with this example, it's actually pretty good, because you're going to need to eat that meal regardless of, it's not like a hard thing to find a replace, because you're still going to need breakfast. So maybe figuring out some other breakfast ideas for yourself that you like and that you can have on hand, that's going to be key there. Also, another thing you can try is gradually reducing it. So instead of totally changing your routine overnight, you could try to maybe, I don't know, do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or only on Tuesday, Thursday, or something like that. That could be a way to do that. Still can put in kind of a sense of restriction where you're like, can cause a bit of that rebound, but sometimes tapering something down can help. And then I think just having more options for yourself. So it might be a breakfast that you eat out, but that's just more in line nutritionally with what you're wanting to do. And I think also a big thing is kind of your mindset around it. So it's thinking about what you want to accomplish and what's going to get you there. So for example, if you're eating, I guess, why do you want to not eat there every morning? Do you feel like you aren't performing as well at work, or like you feel sluggish, or like you're hungry an hour later and then you're like trying to find food to eat, you don't have something to eat? Is it just, like nutritionally speaking, having the same thing for breakfast every day is not a great idea, and having like a donut for breakfast every single day is not where you want to be nutritionally speaking? So kind of thinking about those things, what's your desire behind it, and then putting something else in place. And then knowing that that food is never off limits. And as you do those types of things, it takes effort in the beginning, but really what you're trying to do is to establish a new habit. And so it takes a little effort at first, but once you get that new habit in place, it's just as easy as the old thing was, because now it's your new normal and it's how you do things. And also thinking about being more mindful. So what are you choosing for breakfast? Why are you choosing it? And actually making it a bit of a choice rather than just kind of, this is just kind of what I do this every morning type of thing. Being more mindful about it. And then when you do have that food, or whatever food you're having, paying attention to it, enjoying the experience, rather than when we eat mindlessly, like you could eat a donut or yogurt or oatmeal or eggs or whatever, and then not even really remember eating it because you weren't paying attention to the food, you were doing something else. So really enjoying your food and being mindful about it as well. And just a general rule for any meal or snack too, if you're trying to think nutritionally, what to kind of look for is you want to have a carb, a fat, a protein, and fiber. So those are kind of your 4 things. And so then that also might mean like when you have a donut, that accomplishes the carb, It's going to have some fat in there. How can I work in some protein and some fiber to make it a little more overall satisfying? Because at least for me, I know if I had a donut for breakfast, it probably would not last me very long, because it's kind of like that quick energy, but it's probably not going to be that satisfying meal that really hits all those points that I want flavor wise, and just experience wise, but also nutritionally, you know, a couple hours later feeling like I'm starving again. Do, do, do. Mr. Holmes says, I have coconut yogurt, hemp seeds, and banana in the morning. That sounds super yummy. Jenny99 says that their girlfriend makes different things for breakfast every morning. Yeah, so that's too, like, some people do have a lot of variety in their breakfast. I'm kind of a couple different things. Usually it's yogurt. My variety kind of comes in the add-ins. So most of the time I have yogurt, but then seasonally it changes as far as if I'm having pears or peaches or raspberries or strawberries. So it's kind of like the same idea, but variations on that. And that's something you could try. Like maybe you really enjoy oatmeal, but the way you switch it up is by putting in different toppings, different nuts and seeds, or different fruits, or whatever. All right, we are coming down to the end of the tortillas. I appreciate y'all's patience with this. The one thing about taco night, as far as live streams go, is it's not necessarily the most dynamic thing to watch because it's a lot of me doing the same thing, but it's also really what I'm having for dinner. And I want to show you guys what the reality is. So this is what my reality is tonight. Okay. Sorry that that one broke. Sorry that the tortilla press kind of squeaks sometimes. It's really loud in here. I don't know if it's quite as piercing for you on your end, but if it's bothering you, I apologize. Especially if you have earphones in, maybe that makes it worse. I don't know. Let me make sure. Oh, Natalie says, thank you. Thanks for the ideas. Gonna find some things I can grab and go out the door that work into my mornings. Yeah, and you gotta figure out what fits into your routine too. So having something quick or something prepped ahead can be nice. Okay. Where am I? I need more for this pan. Why is that arrow? It was like showing a weird arrow on my screen. It was not going away, and it was covering up all your comments. I remembered what I wanted to ask you guys about. So I did something for the first time on the channel today. I want to know if you saw it. I did a community post. So it's a feature that I recently got access to on my channel. And it basically is a text post that goes on a special tab on my channel page, but it also should be showing up in y'all's feeds or maybe on your home page. I don't know how you guys access YouTube. I would guess based on my analytics and just based on what I know that most of you are accessing it on a mobile device, but some of you may also use desktop. I want to know, did you see that community tab post in your feed? Have you seen them from other people before? Do you know what I'm talking about? Are you like, no, I've never seen that on YouTube. I have no idea what you're referring to. That would be helpful for me because, like I said, it's a new feature I just got access to. I've seen other people use it, but I myself used it for the first time today. And I think it's a really nice feature, but I didn't know if any of you actually saw it or not. Okay. All right, we've got all the tortillas in there. So now I'm just going to take the plastic wrap off of this bad boy and put this over by the sink to be rinsed off. I kind of like the plastic wrap better, I think. Ow. Well, that didn't hurt too bad, but it always goes back to what I'm saying. I'm going to severely injure myself on one of these live streams. Okay, we're going to set this by the sink before I hurt myself. And I'll put this in the trash. Okay, so let's see what we've got so far. Mr. Holmes says Chrome and Safari. Okay, so you're doing it in a browser on your desktop, on a mobile device. No one is saying anything, so that makes me think that either you didn't see it or you have no idea what I'm talking about. So first off, when I say community post, do you know what I'm talking about? Say yes or no. Just type it in the chat. Do you know what a community tab post is? Oh, I need to flip that, not take it out. And do you see them from other people already that are not me. Mr. Holmes says no. Natalie says, I didn't see your community post earlier because I wasn't looking. I see it now. I like when people post on there. Okay, so are you seeing it because you went to my channel, or are you seeing it in your feed? Sorry, this is a little like behind the scenes, but this is a good way for me to know, one, how it's working, two, what you guys think about it. And we can kind of figure this out together, because I personally really like it when other people use it. Well, I see some people use it in ways that I like, and some people use it in ways that I don't love as much. Natalie saw it in the feed. Okay, good. Or sees them in the feed. That's good to know. So if y'all don't know, and continue to let me know if you're familiar with them and if you've seen it, because that would be really helpful to me, for me to know. But if you're not familiar, a few ways that I can use the community post is, one, to just do text posts. So like today, I put a little reminder that the live stream was happening. I always schedule the live stream a little bit ahead of time so you guys can see it in your feed if you happen to be on YouTube. But the community post made it so that you could see it even earlier. I think maybe I should have posted it sooner. So today I posted it, I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6 hours ahead of time. Maybe I should have done it like yesterday type of thing to give it a little more time to get out to y'all's feeds, your homepage, and for you to see it. Oh, Natalie says on the home tab on mobile. Yeah, that's where I usually see them. So yeah, Natalie's talking about surveys. So I can do text posts on there, which is what I did today. I can do surveys. So if I want to ask your idea about a video, or if you want a specific topic you might want to hear about or something like that, or I don't know, other things I might want to survey you about, then I can do that there. I can also do images if I have a photo I want to share. So I think it's I'm really excited to have it now because it's a nice way for us to stay in touch. There are other ways that I can communicate with you, but if I need to tell you, for example, like, we're not doing the monthly live stream today because, I don't know, what are some reasons in the past that it's happened? Because it's a holiday. So we're gonna do it next week, or we're not gonna do it today because I am at a conference or something like that. Then I can communicate that to you, and then also, you know, there are other things you can do. I'm not gonna be like blowing up your life with the community feed or the community tab, but I do think it's gonna be a nice way for us to communicate in a different way on YouTube. Because, you know, I can reach you on other platforms, but you might not always be on every platform, or you might not see everything, so I think they're good. Watson Mullen says, hey, how's it going? It's going good. Happy to have you. Right now we're making some tacos. I have the tortillas going in the pan. So, if you guys have any other thoughts on the community feed, definitely let me know. But with those posts, you can do thumbs up and thumbs down. Also, you can comment on them, so it's like a way for us to discuss things as well, which I think is really nice. And I'm excited about it. I've been really eager to get that feature, and now that we have it, I'm really happy about it. Okay, enough of the behind the scenes YouTube talk. Unless you guys are interested in that, we can talk about it more. We've got the tortillas done, so I've got 30 tortillas here. I've turned off my pans. The beans are still simmering in the back. Now we have to make our guacamole. So I am going to turn us back this way. Get us more like this. And we're gonna make guacamole, so you can see how I make my guacamole, what goes into it. And personally, well, not just personally, I've been told that my guacamole is quite delicious. So if you need a recipe, I think mine is a good one. So let me get a mixing bowl. This is the one I used earlier to mix up our tortilla dough before the stream started. Put this to the side. And you guys will actually get to see some chopping now, which normally happens at the beginning of the live stream, but now we're kind of getting it a little bit later. So, I need a knife. See, I always try to get everything out ahead of time, but I usually forget at least one thing. Let me get a compost bowl instead of getting a whole compost bucket, just to make my area over here a little bit better. Okay. So first thing we're gonna work on, and I'm gonna pop this onion in the freezer because I find that helps with me not crying as much. So we'll put that in there to wait for us until we need it. So in my guacamole, I usually use 4 avocados. It seems to be about the right amount, and also I get the bulk like bags, and they come in groups of 4. So that's also part of the reason why I usually do 4. But you know, you can do however much you want. Alright, so I'm just gonna run my knife around these. And I like to do things like in batches, kind of. It's a more efficient way to do things. So instead of opening up each avocado and putting them in there, first I'm doing this step, the run around split in half on every one. So you just keep doing the same task over and over, and it's a little faster. All right, so now that we have that, we're gonna open these up. We'll see how these look on the inside. Ooh, we're doing good. They all seem pretty. Look at that. I'm just saying. Avocado master. Let's see if we can be 4 for 4. Yes! Okay. Natalie says guacamole, the best part. Drink water. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, now we're going to remove the pits. I don't know if this is the safest way to do it, but this is how I do it. I take the knife, I hit it into the pit, then I twist, and it comes out, and then I knock it into my compost bin, or in tonight's case, the compost bowl. That's how we do it. So we're going to take all of our pits out. And avocados are one of those things, there's kind of like the meme about how they're ripe for 2 seconds and then they're rotten. I don't have that much trouble with them, and I think this part of it is just knowing when. Like, I can tell when they're close, and then I just pop them in the fridge. And if you get them when they're not quite ripe, like, sometimes they're super green, I just let them sit on the counter, and then when they're right on the edge of being ripe, put them in the fridge. These have been in the fridge for like a week or 2, and they look like that. So as long as you get them in the fridge right before they're ready, then they last a really long time. All right, let me get a spoon for myself. All the spoons are in the training rack. Okay, here we go. Let me check out comments. Okay, we're going good on comments. Oh, Watson asks. Oh, no, I already got that. How's it going? Okay, so now I'm just going to scoop these into the bowl that I have here on the side. I really like guacamole just in general, but especially for taco night, I think it is essential. All right, we're almost there. The beans still look like they're doing pretty good. Now, here's the other thing that I like about taco night is that it's like we were talking about for breakfast earlier. It's one of those meals that it can really be completely different just depending on what kind of toppings you use. So even if you have taco night pretty often, depending on how you switch it up from time to time, or maybe you do different things seasonally. In the summer, I have a lot of like fresh tomato with the tacos, and I'll saute up some peppers and that kind of thing. In the winter, I do more cabbage. So even though it's the same thing, it's still a little bit different. So that's cool. And also, it's a great way for families or large groups of people to eat, because I think it's fun to have a lot of different toppers, and then people get to take what's offered and customize it according to what they enjoy. So you can put out a bunch of different stuff, but then everyone gets to make their own creation, their own version, their own twist on it with the flavors that they like together. And I think that's really nice. So thumbs up for taco night. Okay, next thing we're gonna do is garlic. So I have one pretty large clove of garlic here. Oh, it's actually 2 kind of smashed together. So I'm gonna peel this, and now we're actually gonna do some chopping. So I'm gonna turn the camera down so you can see how we cut garlic and how that works. So here we go. I'll try to get you lined up with the cutting board the right way. Let's see, how does that look? Oh, okay, I think we're pretty good. All right, so I'm going to trim off the end here where the little root piece is. And then, first off, this is the knife I always use. I really like it. This is also linked to my Amazon store, so if you're interested in this specific knife, it's over there. For cutting garlic, what you want to do is run your knife parallel to the cutting board, going across. So we're making little cuts this way. And then go perpendicular. So we're kind of cutting like a grid shape into the garlic. And the closer together you make your cuts, the smaller the pieces will be. The wider apart you make your cuts, the bigger the pieces will be. And so then you just cut across like this. Now, of course, you can use a garlic press to do this too if you have one. And if you like using a garlic press, like I said, I try to minimize specialty tools. And also, it's another thing to clean as well. So I usually just use a knife, unless I'm doing super large quantities of garlic. Maybe I'll use a garlic press, but I like just doing it simple. So then, if you want to, you can run your knife through. Okay, I'm going to make these pieces a little bit smaller. Interesting fact about garlic, and the reason I'm cutting it here in the beginning, this is kind of like a little nutrition trivia, is that the compounds that are thought to be some of the beneficial compounds in the garlic, they actually become activated when they come in contact with the air. So, this is not something to stress out about, but if you can, it's nice to cut your garlic early on in the cooking process so it can sit out a little bit and those compounds can come about, especially if you're going to cook it. Now, we're using this raw in our guacamole, but if you can just keep in mind to cut your garlic just a little bit, like at the beginning, and just let it kind of sit there, then that can kind of maximize those beneficial compounds. Like I said, not something to stress out over. It's not like a life or death thing, but I think it's kind of like an interesting little nutrition trivia fact, and it doesn't take any different amount of effort, so if it may help a little bit, why not? Alright, so I've put the garlic in the bowl. I'm going to put my end of my garlic in my compost. And now let's do the hot pepper. So this is one of the hot peppers from the garden. We still have a lot of these in the fridge. I never did make hot sauce. I told you guys I was going to do that. It hasn't happened, much to Jason's disappointment. He's always like, we got these peppers in here that someone said they were going to make hot sauce out of.
It's like a lot of time digging some holes.
Right, taking care of some plants. We have lost some peppers in the fridge. But a lot of them are holding up really well. So, I've just got one of these. This is, which one is this? Not the ahi chinchi. Why can't I think? Lemon drop pepper. That's what this is. Which I really loved. If you're wondering about gardening stuff, you can go back and look at the gardening videos to see how this plant did. But this was super productive. These plants were loaded down. The most productive pepper plant I think I've ever had. So I will definitely grow this one. Again, and they've been holding up in the fridge really well. Okay, I'm going to go rinse my hands off a little bit. And then I'm going to get the onion out of the freezer. Oh, Natalie says hi, Jason. Jenny99 says Jason. So they hear you. They know you're here. They're saying hello.
Hello. I'm here. Do you guys want to take a shower, or are we eating in a few minutes?
We're gonna be eating soon, so you should wait. Then you can hang out and talk to people. Okay, I'll let you guys see Jason, I promise, because I know he's your favorite. But
I'll do cool finger tricks.
Okay, I do not want to cut off your finger though.
Well, don't mess up.
Okay. All right. So now we're gonna cut our onion. Now I use. Ooh, this has a rotten spot in the middle. That's not good. Let's see how far down.
Throw the whole onion away.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say I usually use half the onion when I make guacamole, but because we. Oh, okay.
That's just a little bit.
It's just there. Okay, I'm just gonna cut here. If it was like the whole center, I'd probably pull the core out and use the outer layers. But all right, and this is a medium-sized onion, so we'll still be good to use about half of it. So with anything you're cutting, you want a flat surface, so that's why we cut the onion in half, because if it's whole, then it's rolling around, and that's how we cut ourselves. So first step is getting us a flat surface. This half I'm just gonna peel and put to the side, and I'll put this in the fridge to use for something else.
Jason, pro tip: cut with the hand that you're oppositely using to make it a more fun and exciting experience.
Your non-dominant hand.
Your non-dominant hand. Oh, I could not think of that.
Well, you know.
Not your opposite handy thing.
Opposite hand from what you normally use. Jenna99 says, "What do you think about remember last live stream? They mentioned getting the cat's teeth clean. They want to know what you think about that, or if you have any thoughts."
I was going to make a video about that, but obviously I haven't made a video in a while.
For those of you who don't know, Jason has a channel about cat stuff, Cats and Pats. Check it out.
I need to look at it more. After you said that, I had a vet. I guess I can't put my face on there.
Yeah. No one can see. They just saw the edge of your hair.
Our one vet said, "Don't really worry about it." That.
You asked our vet?
Yeah, I think that. What was it? I think one of them said that.
Okay.
When was that? I think we had porn G in there for something.
Okay, pause this story. For those of you who are not familiar with how to cut an onion, just how we cut the garlic, I did parallel cuts, perpendicular cuts, and now we're going to cut across. Same thing, you control the size by how close together you put the cuts. Jason, continue your story about our vets and the cats and deep cleaning.
Basically, I need to look it up because I've kind of seen conflicting things.
Oh.
Obviously, Jen got advice to do something about it. I have heard not to. I think it probably depends on the situation and maybe also what's up with your cat. Because dental disease definitely is a thing. That's the problem.
Okay.
I just don't know what the right measures to prevent it are. I don't know if brushing is a preventative measure or that's something you have to do if something goes wrong or what. So
oh, I see. Okay.
More research is needed.
There's a reminder for Jason.
Also, there's a reminder for Jason. Okay, so onion is going in the bowl now. Hope that was helpful for anyone who's interested in cat teeth cleaning. If you want more info about cats, go to Cats and Pats, Jason's channel.
Yeah.
It's great.
Live stream tomorrow if all goes well. I get back from work in
Yeah,
time.
hopefully live stream tomorrow. All right, I'm gonna wash my hands. I'm crying a little bit. That's okay. Oh, actually, yeah, let me wash my hands. I'm gonna turn down this thing too so it doesn't start yelling at us about reminders. Okay. So now we're gonna do some cilantro. I'm still here, I promise. I hate to leave you guys with the... I like that I can move the camera around to show you the cutting board, but then sometimes I feel like it's a little weird because you're not seeing my face, and sometimes I walk away and it's just like a knife on a cutting board. Okay, so we've got the cilantro here. Jenny99 says that their cat had some rotten teeth removed. All right, so I'm gonna rinse the cilantro. And just like anything else, you can customize if you're making, my guacamole recipe. You can customize it to what you want. So if you like a little more, a little less, everything again, I just kind of eyeball and estimate because that's how I roll. All right, so with cilantro, one thing to know is that the stems are edible. So something like rosemary or thyme has like a woody stem. You can't eat that. But these soft stems on the cilantro, perfectly fine to eat. So if you're using cilantro, you don't have to sit here and pick off every individual leaf. Simply not necessary, and it takes a ton of time. So you just want to trim off your ends, get your cilantro. I like to kind of fold it in half to make like this little package here of cilantro, little bundle. Then you want to kind of hold it all together. Tuck your fingers in so we don't lose our fingers on the live stream, or just for you at home cooking. And just run your knife across. And so the stems are getting chopped. Like I said, they're perfectly fine to eat. And this, if you've been picking leaves of cilantro off, this is going to make your life a whole lot easier. And then I'm just going to run my knife across just to get us a pretty even chop on this. I'm sure the camera is shaking a lot while I do this, which I apologize for. All right, there we go. Super quick, doesn't take hardly any time at all. And it smells super cilantro-y. Another tip when you're using your knife, if you're scraping, use the back of your knife. Do not use the blade of your knife because then you're like smashing your blade around and dulling it. Use the back to just scrape things together. Okay, so I'm gonna put the cilantro in the bowl I have here to the side. And we've got all that done. Now I'm gonna go rinse my hands and then I will come back and show my face as we finish up this guacamole. Okay, here we go. There we go. Yeah. That's pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna get a sip of water. Sorry too, the floor is kind of squeaky here. I don't know if you can hear it, but if that annoys you, nothing I can do about it, but I wanted to acknowledge it. Okay, so we've got our guacamole ingredients in here. Delish. Now what we need is the finishing touches. So, salt. Just gonna sprinkle some in here. I don't know, I do like a few big pinches. Again, you can customize it to your preference. And then I have a lime here as well. Oh, Jenna99 Jason says, if you could get the vet's opinion on the condition of your cat's teeth, if you get tips on how to keep them healthy, that would be a great video.
Sounds good.
He says, all right, sounds good. All right, so I'm just rolling the lime on the cutting board here. Oh, and dropping it on the floor. Oh, I caught it. I'm just rolling it. This is just kind of to get it mushed up inside and get the juices flowing. I'm going to cut it in half. And then we're going to squeeze this juice into the bowl here. And I find that generally the juice of 1 lime is enough. Sometimes the limes aren't as juicy, so then I might need 2. But usually I just do 1. This one's lacking a little bit. We'll see once I do the second half how it does. Let me know in the chat, are you guys cilantro fans or not? Because it is one of those things that depending on, you know, how your taste buds are kind of set up, people either enjoy it or they think it tastes like soap and they're not a fan. Or maybe you have been a cilantro convert. Because I do know a couple people in my life that did not enjoy it when they first started eating it, but now they either don't mind it or actually really like it. So I would be interested to hear that. I'm gonna go rinse my hands again while you guys put your cilantro preference in the chat.
You think okay from work?
Huh? Oh. Do you want to share that with our friends?
Sure. These are my pants. Well, these are my pants that I wore to work. And then when I was at work today, I was like, you know what? I have a giant hole right here in the crotchal region. Luckily, I think if I'm standing
You couldn't see
like
it.
this, yeah.
Good thing you found it
Yeah.
rather than someone telling you.
Although I was just like lying down a few minutes ago on the ground, so people might have seen it there. Where'd it go?
So you can't even find it now.
Oh, there it is. There it is. But you know, that's why you got your underpants.
Tip from Jason: wear underwear in case your pants have a hole in the butt.
Pro tip.
Pro tip. Jenny99 going back to cat teeth says, from what I've learned, vets can clean cat's teeth. They're dry foods. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Same with people. If you
I
eat
read about that.
crunchy
Dry
foods.
foods, and particular dry foods that do that. So that's something to collaborate together. Because I'm worried about porn juice.
Jenna asked if either of us can sew. No. I mean, we can figure out remedial things. That we
I
need to-
have done some.
Yeah. I'm mashing right now with a potato masher. You could also put this in a blender, but this is easier, and also it's easier to clean as well. And it I kind of like the more, I don't know, chunky. That doesn't sound appealing, but the more chunky texture than like a completely smooth texture. Natalie says, I've never actually tried it before. Really? You should try some cilantro.
Oh, Well, not by itself, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, it's good on tacos. It's good like for your fajitas that you're making
Ooh.
tonight. Natalie's
Oh.
making fajitas, chicken fajitas for dinner.
Oh, so fancy.
Yeah,
That'd be perfect for that.
a little bit on
Ooh.
top, or if you're making guac,
Or
or
just throw some in some rice, just to
oh yeah,
things
come
up.
over here if you're gonna be talking.
to
Don't
spice
be-
things up.
All right,
Nice mash.
thanks. All right, guac is done.
Oh, wow.
Okay, now
This is a spoiler.
for the pièce de résistance. Not really, it's not that special, but it's the last thing.
I think
we're
it was
gonna do.
delicious.
Oh, I meant the next thing.
Oh.
Um,
I'm gonna stand back here.
we got some cabbage. This is a Savoy cabbage, so it's like crinkly. These are the produce bags that I use too, in case you're interested. Reusable produce bags. They're awesome. They're also linked in my store because I keep all my favorite things over there. I really like these.
Those are nice.
So, just FYI. So this is a Savoy cabbage. We're not going to need a ton of this. But I'm just going to cut this up real quick. And I like having the cabbage because it gives a nice crunch, which I think is really nice. So that's the thing to think about when you're cooking. There's a few things to keep in mind when you're trying to put a meal together, if you're not using a recipe, is to think about the flavors and how they're going to go together, the nutritional profile, so you're having a variety of different foods, carbs, fat, protein, fiber, all those things we talked about earlier. The color palette, so it's not very appealing to have all red foods or all green foods or all white foods or all brown foods. You want to have a mixture of colors because visually that's just a lot nicer to look at. And then the fourth thing is to think about texture. You don't want everything to be crunchy or everything to be mushy or whatever. You want to have that variety in there. So like with our tacos, we have kind of a firmness from the tortilla. We have the guacamole, which is kind of like mushy and slimy. We have the beans, which are kind of soft. And then this is going to add some nice crunch in there. So I'm just going to run my knife through this really quickly. And just make strips. And another thing that is really pretty, like you saw in the thumbnail, I have some tacos I made with purple cabbage. That is really, really stunning, I think. But this Savoy cabbage is interesting too because it's got a little bit of a softer texture than some other cabbages. And it has kind of this, rippled, frilly thing going on. I don't know, it's kind of fun.
You say it makes you a savant?
Savoy.
Yeah, it makes you a savant. Never mind.
I mean, I get that the words sound similar.
That's similar.
Okay, so now we've got some cabbage. All right, so I'll make a taco up real quick so y'all can see what it looks like.
I'll make 7 up really quick. So.
Okay, I usually start with about 4 tacos because I just like a plate that isn't totally full. Jason tries to pack in as many as he can, but I usually start with 4 and then come back. And also because it just really depends. Sometimes 4, I eat that and I'm just not very hungry. I'm like, oh, that's fine. Sometimes I eat 8. Like, it really just depends on the meal and the day and how I'm feeling.
But also when you get 7, you get this cool like kind of flour pattern. Check it out. But that's not the best looking tacos on plates. I don't know what it is.
Okay, so let's see what we have going on.
Got these beans?
Natalie says, gonna have to get some cilantro for my next taco night. Awesome.
Oh, for sure.
Let me know how you like it. Jenna99 says, the binging with Babish person hates cilantro. Fun
really?
fact. And Natalie's fajitas are almost ready too, getting hungry.
Oh, yeah.
Great. We're right on the same
We're on
page.
schedule. Oh, you go
We're
first.
right on schedule. I'm
Okay.
sorry. This is a
slotted
slotted spoon.
Oh, well.
Alright, so I'm over here to the side. I know y'all can't see me. I'm getting some of these black beans that were on this back burner.
Mmm.
Do they taste good?
Yeah, yeah.
Let me try. Mmm, good work, Sarah.
Yeah, I mean, I usually don't like beans by themselves, and even
I think those are like maybe the
Yeah.
best black beans I've ever made.
Yeah, make sure you know how you did this again.
Well, I just talked about in the beginning about how I just kind of throw some spices in. Hopefully it tastes good.
Try to remember.
I feel like I did the same thing I always do, but all right. So we've got the black beans. I'm gonna put on some guacamole. Okay. And we have our cabbage. Put some of that. I don't need quite that much. That's the other thing with tacos. Don't put as much toppings. Put less than what you think,
Nope.
because otherwess they overfill.
Still learning that lesson.
Yeah, Jason still hasn't figured out how much to put in. Okay. And then Frank's Red Hot. Not traditional for tacos, but also I would say that most tacos that most people eat are not traditional. Tacos are one of those wonderful foods that you can just make it whatever you want it to be. So we're doing Frank's Red Hot, because I love Frank's. It's got that vinegariness that I really like. It's spicy, and it's going to add like a really bright red pop. So we're going to put some of that on.
Wait, did you cut up cilantro? Oh, it's in the guac.
It's in the guac, yeah. So there we go. There's a taco. If you wanted cheese, you could also put cheese on there.
Ooh.
This is vegan. If you are vegan or someone in your life is vegan, vegetarian obviously, because if it's vegan, it's automatically vegetarian. Other things that would be good.
What they call that.
Of course, you could do ground English. Ground beef. You could do chicken. You could do pulled pork like I was talking about before. You could do a different type of bean if you prefer something else. Salsa, different types of veggies, peppers, onions, red cabbage. Anything else you can think of, Jason? Corn.
Can I show my 7 tacos?
Yeah.
I can really go for some brown grief, personally.
Brown grief. Okay. So I'm gonna make up a few more of these for my dinner. I'm not just gonna eat one taco. But I think that brings us to the end of our live stream. It's been fun hanging out with you guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know I certainly have. If you are making dinner like Natalie, then I hope that you have a great dinner now when you go to eat. And I will see you in more videos. But for the next monthly live stream, we will be in January 2019. Which is pretty wild, but also very exciting. So I hope you're having a great morning or afternoon or evening or nighttime or whatever, no matter where you are in the world and when you're watching this. And I love you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Jason, come say bye. Bye.